a drama guide giving important factual and background material to each of the 28 great plays of this series is available as a listener's aid at the cost price of 25 cents. Coin or money orders to be sent in care of Great Plays, Columbia University Press, New York City. Liliom by Ferenc Molnár. Today's great play, Liliom, is generally admitted to be Molnár's masterpiece. Its emotional blending of naturalism and fantasy into one complete, tender, and tragic whole is the feat of only a mature and accomplished playwright. This radio adaptation today, which has been made by Joseph Bell, attempts to preserve the emotional integrity of the play by a careful condensation rather than by omission of individual scenes. As our imagination takes us to the outskirts of Budapest and the amusement concessions, where Mrs. Muscat operates her merry-go-round, we find ourselves in a corner of the park under a flowering acacia and surrounded by trees and shrubbery. Julie and Marie enter excited.
What's the matter with the woman anyway? All of a sudden she comes up to me and begins to raise a row.
Oh, come on, Julie. She'll only start a fight.
I'm going to stay right here. Let her start a fight.
What do you want to run away for? But don't let me catch you in my carousel again. I stand for a whole lot in my business, but when a girl misbehaves herself on my carousel, out she goes. Do you understand?
Are you talking to me?
Yes, you chambermaid, you.
I paid my fare and took my seat, and I never said a word. Except to my friend here.
No, she never opened her mouth. Liliom came over to her of his own accord. It's all the same. I'm not going to get in trouble with the police and lose my license on account of you shabby kitchen maid.
Shabby yourself.
You stay out of my carousel. Letting my barker fool with you. Aren't you ashamed of yourself?
He did not fool with me. I don't let any man fool with me.
He leaned against you all through the ride.
He leaned against the panther. He always leans against something, doesn't he? But he didn't lay a hand on me.
Oh, didn't he? And I suppose he didn't put his hand around your waist either.
And if he did, what of it?
You hold your tongue. No one's asking you. Just you keep out of it.
He put his arm around my waist. Just the same as he does to all the girls. He always does that.
Well, I only want to tell you this, my dear. If you ever stick your nose in my carousel again, you'll wish you hadn't.
Perhaps you think you could throw me out.
I'll have Liliom throw you out. He knows how to handle your kind.
You think Liliom would throw me out?
Yes, my dear. So fast that you won't know what's happened to you.
He'd throw me out.
Go away. Stop following me or I'll smack your face.
Give me back my
Go on now.
Oh, please give me back my
Oh, shut up. Will you get out of here?
What have you been doing now?
None of your business. What's the matter? What's this girl done to you?
She's been impudent to me. She's never to be allowed in my carousel again. If she gets in before you see her, throw her out.
You heard that. Run home now.
Mr. Liliom, tell me, please, honest and truly, if I come into the carousel, will you throw me out?
Of course he'll throw you out.
She wasn't talking to you.
Tell me straight to my face, Mr. Liliom. Would you throw me out?
Yes, little girl, if there was a reason. But if there was no reason, why should I throw you out?
There, you see?
Thank you, Mr. Liliom.
And I tell you again, if she dares to set her foot in my carousel, she's to be thrown out. I'll stand for no indecency in my establishment.
What do you mean, indecency?
Now I saw it all. There's no use denying it.
She says you put your arm around my waist.
Me?
Yes, you. I saw you. Don't play the innocent.
Well, here's something new. I'm not to put my arm around a girl's waist anymore. I suppose I'm to ask your permission before I touch another girl.
You can touch as many girls as you want and as often as you want, but not this one. I permit no indecency in my carousel.
And now I'll ask you, please, to shut your mouth.
What?
Shut your mouth quick and go back to your carousel.
What?
Trying to start a fight with a little pigeon like that just because I touched her? You come to the carousel as often as you want to, little girl. Come every afternoon and sit on the panther's back. And if you haven't got the price, Liliom will pay for you. And if anyone dares to bother you, you just come and tell me.
Why, you reprobate.
Old witch?
Thank you, Mr. Liliom.
You seem to think because you're the best barker in the park that I can't throw you out, too.
Very good.
I can just charge you anytime I feel like it. You good-for-nothing, you conceited pig.
All right, it's all settled. I'm a good-for-nothing and a conceited pig, and I'm discharged.
Do you want to ruin my business?
Get out of here. I'm discharged, and you get out of here.
Mr. Liliom, I don't want this to happen on account of me.
Apologize to her.
Uh-huh. Apologize? To who?
To this little pigeon. Well, you gonna do it?
No.
In that case, dear lady, if you don't get out of here this minute and let this little squaw be, I'll give you the prettiest slap in the jaw you ever had in your life.
Very good, my son. Now you can go to the devil. You're discharged, and you needn't try to come back either. You...
Oh, Mr. Liliom.
Don't you pity me or I'll give you a slap in the jaw. And don't you pity me either.
I don't pity you, Mr. Liliom.
You're a liar. You are pitying me. You're thinking now that Madame Muscat has thrown him out, Liliom will have to go begging. Huh. I'm big enough to get along without a Madame Muscat. I've been thrown out of better jobs than hers.
What will you do now, Mr. Liliom?
Now, first of all, I'll go and get myself a glass of beer. You see, when something happens to annoy me, I always drink a glass of beer. Now, you girls wait here till I go back to the Carousel and get my clothes and things, and when I come back, we'll go to the Hungarian beer garden.
Why are you looking after him in that funny way?
Nothing, except I'm sorry he lost his job.
It was on our account he lost his job. Because he's fallen in love with you.
He hasn't at all.
Oh, yes, he's in love with you. There's someone in love with me, too.
There is? Who?
I never mentioned it before. Because you hadn't a lover of your own. But now you have. And I'm free to speak. My heart has found its mate.
Oh, you're only making it up.
No, it's true. My heart's true love.
Who? Who is he?
A soldier.
What kind of a soldier?
I don't know, just a soldier. Are there different kinds?
There are many different kinds. There are hussars, artillerymen, engineers, infantry. That's the kind that walks.
Well, how can you tell which is which?
By their uniforms.
The conductors on the streetcars, are they soldiers?
Oh, certainly not. They're conductors.
Well, they have uniforms.
Well, but they don't carry swords or guns.
Oh. Well, policemen, are they?
Are they what?
Soldiers.
Oh, certainly not. They're just policemen.
But they have uniforms, and they carry weapons, too.
You're just as dumb as you can be. You don't go by their uniforms.
But you said that...
No, I didn't. A letter carrier wears a uniform, too, but that doesn't make him a soldier.
But if he carried a gun or a sword, would he be a
No,
soldier?
no, he'd still be a letter carrier. You can't go by guns or swords, either.
Well, if you don't go by the uniforms or the weapons, what do you go by?
Oh, by... You're nothing but a country girl. When you've lived in the city a year like I have, you'll know all about it.
Well, how do you know when you see a real soldier?
By one thing.
What?
By his salute. That's the only way.
Oh, that's good.
Why?
I say, it's all right then, because Wolf, that's his real name, Wolf. Soldier Wolf.
What kind of a uniform does he wear?
Red.
Red trousers?
No.
Red coat?
No.
Well, what then?
His cap.
Oh, he's just a porter, you dunce. Red cap. That's a porter, and he doesn't carry a gun or a sword either.
But he salutes. And you said yourself that was the only way to tell a soldier.
He doesn't salute at all. He only greets people.
He salutes me. He salutes, and he wears a red cap, and he stands on guard all day long outside a big building.
What does he do there?
He spits.
Oh, he's nothing but a common porter.
What's Liliom?
Well, why speak of him? He has nothing to do with me.
Well, the same as Wolf has to do with me. If you can talk to me like that about Wolf, I can talk to you about Liliom.
Well, he's nothing to me. He put his arm around me in the Carousel. I couldn't tell him not to put his arm around me after he'd done it, could I?
And I suppose you didn't like him to do it.
No.
And why are you waiting for him? Why don't you go home?
Well, he said we were to wait for him.
Are you still here? What are you waiting for?
Well, you told us to wait.
What do you suppose I want with two of you? I meant that one of you is to wait. The other can go home. Which of you wants to stay? Come on, speak up. Which of you stays?
She'll lose her job if she stays.
Who will?
Julie. She has to be back by 7 o'clock.
Is that true? Will they discharge you if you're not back on time?
Yes.
Well, wasn't I discharged?
Yes, you were discharged, too.
Julie, shall I go?
I can't tell you what to do.
All right. Stay if you like.
You'll be discharged if you do.
Shall I go, Julie?
Why do you keep asking me that?
Well, you know best what to do.
It's all right, Marie. You can go home.
Good night.
Now we're both discharged. Well, we can sit down on this bench. Have you had your supper?
No.
Want to go eat something at the garden?
No.
You don't come to this park very often, do you? I've only seen you here about 3 times. You been here often than that?
Oh, yes.
Did you see me?
Yes.
And did you know I was Liliom?
They told me.
Have you got a sweetheart?
No.
Don't lie to me.
I haven't. If I had, I'd tell you. I never had one.
What an awful liar you are. I've got a good mind to go away and leave you here.
I've never had one.
Tell that to someone else.
Well, why do you insist I have?
Because you stayed here with me the first time I asked you to. You know your way around, you do.
No, I don't, Mr. Liliom.
I suppose you'll tell me you don't know why you're sitting here like this in the dark alone with me. What did you stay for, anyhow?
So, you wouldn't be left alone?
Alone? Oh, you're dumb. I don't need to be alone. I can have all the girls I want. Not only servant girls like you, but cooks and governesses. Even French girls. I could have 20 of them if I wanted to.
I know, Mr. Lilium,
What do you know?
that all the girls are in love with you. But that's not why I stayed. I stayed because you've been so good to me.
Well, then you can go home.
I don't want to go home now.
What if I go away and leave you sitting here?
If you did, I wouldn't go home.
Say, do you know what you remind me of? A sweetheart I had once. I'll tell you how I met her.
What are you doing there?
Me?
Stand up when you're spoken to.
Oh.
What's your name?
Andrea Savaki.
Oh,
Stop your bawling. We're not going to eat you. We're only making our rounds.
See that he doesn't get away. What's your business?
Barker and Bouncer.
They call him Lilium, Chief. We had him up a couple of times.
Oh, so that's who you are. Well, who do you work for now?
I work for the widow Muscat.
What are you hanging around here for?
We're just sitting here, me and this girl.
Your sweetheart?
No.
And who are you?
Julie Zeller,
Servant girl?
maid of all work for Mr. Georg Breyer, number 20 Jemjanovic Street.
Well, why aren't you at home? What are you doing out here with him?
This is my day out, sir.
It'd be better for you if you didn't spend it sitting around with a fellow like this. He's only after your money. We know this fine fellow. He picks up you silly servant girls and takes your money.
But I haven't any money, sir.
Do you hear that, Lilium?
I'm not looking for her money.
It's my duty to warn you, my child, what kind of company you're in. He makes a specialty of servant girls. That's why he works in the Carousel. He gets hold of a girl, promises to marry her, then he takes her money and her ring.
But I haven't got a ring.
You're not to talk unless you're asked a question.
Well, it's nothing to me what you do. I'm not your father. But I'm telling you what kind of a fellow he is. Now, you be sensible and go home.
Do I have to go?
No, you don't have to go.
Then I'll stay, sir.
Well, you've been warned.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Come on, Berkey.
Well, what then?
Huh?
You were beginning to tell me a story.
Me?
Yes, about a sweetheart. That's as far as you got.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, one night at closing time, someone came along, a little girl with a big shawl, you know, and she, say, tell me, ain't you afraid of me? The officer told you what kind of a fella I am and that I'd take your money away from you.
You couldn't take it away. I haven't got any. But if I had, I'd give it to you. I'd give it all to you.
You would?
If you asked me for it,
Have you ever had a fella you gave money to?
no.
Haven't you ever had a sweetheart?
No.
Someone used to go walking with you. You've had one like that.
Yes.
A soldier?
He came from the same village I did.
Yeah, that's what all the soldiers say. Where do you come from, anyway?
Not far from here.
Were you in love with him?
Why do you keep asking me that all the time, Mr. Lilium? I wasn't in love with him. We only went walking together.
Where did you walk?
In the park.
And your virtue, where did you lose that?
I haven't got any virtue.
Well, you had once.
No, I never had. I'm a respectable girl.
Yeah, but you gave the soldier something.
Well, why do you question me like that, Mr. Lilium?
Did you give him something?
You have to. But I didn't love him.
Do you love me?
No, Mr. Lilium.
Then why do you stay here with me?
Well, nothing.
Want to dance?
No, I have to be very careful.
Of what?
My character.
Why?
Because I'm never going to marry. If I was going to marry, it'd be different. Then I wouldn't need to worry so much about my character. It doesn't make any difference if you're married, but I shan't marry, and that's why I've got to take care to be a respectable girl.
Suppose I were to say to you, I'll marry you.
You?
Yeah, that frightens you, doesn't it? You're thinking of what that officer said, and you're afraid.
No, I'm not, Mr. Lilium. I don't pay any attention to what he says.
But you wouldn't dare to marry anyone like me, would you?
I know that if I loved anyone, it wouldn't make any difference to me what he... Even if I died for it.
But you wouldn't marry a rough guy like me. That is, if you loved me.
Yes, I would, Mr. Lilium. If I loved you.
Well, you just said, didn't you, that you don't love me? Well, why don't you go home?
It's too late now. They'd all be asleep.
Locked out?
Certainly.
I think that even a low-down good-for-nothing can make a man of himself.
Certainly.
Are you hungry?
No.
Suppose you had some money and I were to take it away from you.
And you could take it, that's all.
All I have to do is go back to her, that Muscat woman. She'll be glad to get me back. Then I'll be earning my wages again.
Don't go back to her.
There are a lot of acacia trees around here.
Don't go back to her.
She'd take me back the minute I asked her. I know why. She knows, too.
I can smell them, too. Acacia blossoms.
White acacias.
The wind brings them down.
Months have passed. We find Marie and Julie sitting on the porch of a dilapidated hovel on the fringe of the amusement park.
And he beat up Hollinger?
Yes, he gave him an awful licking.
But Hollinger's bigger than he is.
He licked him just the same.
Then he was arrested?
Yeah, they arrested him, but they let him go the next day. That makes twice in the 2 months we've been living here that Liliom's been arrested and let go again.
But never willing to work for it. He won't work and he won't steal. But he'll use up a poor old widow's last bit of firewood.
I'm sorry, Mother Hollander.
Sorry? You better be sorry the lazy, good-for-nothing ain't in jail where he belongs instead of in the way of honest, hard-working people.
Who's that?
Mrs. Hollander, my aunt. This is her photograph studio. She lets us live here for nothing.
Well, what's she fetching the wood for?
And she brings us everything we need. If it weren't for her, I don't know what would become of us. She's a good-hearted soul, even if her tongue is sharp.
Do you know, I found out. He's not a soldier.
Do you still see him?
Oh, yes.
Often?
Oh, very often. He's asked me.
To marry you?
To marry me.
Well, you see, that proves he isn't a soldier.
Do you know what I'm doing? I'm flirting with him.
Flirting?
Yes. He asks me to go to the park, and I say I can't go. And then he coaxes me and promises me a new scarf for my head if I go. But I don't go, even then. So then he walks all the way home with me, and I bid him good night at the door.
Is that what you call flirting?
Mm-hmm. It's sinful, but it's awfully thrilling.
You're happy, aren't you?
Happier than anything.
He went out last night, and he hasn't come home yet.
Here are 16 kreutzer. It was supposed to be car fare to take my young lady to the conservatory. 8 there and 8 back. But I made her walk. Here, save it with the rest.
Oh, this makes 3 gulden 66.
3 gulden 66.
He won't work at all.
Too lazy?
No. He never learned a trade, you see, and he can't just go and be a day laborer, so he just does nothing.
That ain't right.
He won't go back to work at the Carousel either. I ask him why, but he won't tell me. Last Monday, he hit me.
Why don't you leave him?
I don't want to.
I would. I'd leave him.
And fight and take money from poor servant girls, and the police turn their heads the other way.
Is that water?
The carpenter was here.
For the soup?
Yes, the carpenter was here. Now, there's a man for you, dark, handsome, lots of hair, a respectable widower with 2 children. He wants to take you out of this and marry you. This is the 5th time he's been here.
Please don't bother, Aunt Hollander. I'll get the water myself.
He's waiting outside now.
Send him away.
Well, he'll only come back again, and first thing you know, that vagabond will get jealous, and there'll be a fight. Oh, he's ready enough to fight, he is. Strike a poor little girl like that, the lazy good...
A carpenter wants to marry you?
Yes.
Why don't you?
Because...
Liliom doesn't support you, and he beats you. He thinks he can do whatever he likes just because he's Liliom. He's a bad one.
He's not really bad. He's unhappy because he isn't working. That's really why he hit me on Monday.
Oh, that's a fine reason for hitting you. Beats his wife because he isn't working, the ruffian.
It preys on his mind.
Did he hurt you?
Oh, no.
Good morning. Is Liliom home?
No.
Gone out?
He hasn't come home yet.
I'll wait for him.
Well, you've got a lot of gall to come here, Mrs. Muscat.
Are you the lady of the house, my dear? Better look out or you'll get a slap in the mouth.
How dare you set foot in Julie's house?
Pay no attention to her, Julie, my child. You know what brings me here. That vagabond, that good-for-nothing. I've come to give him his bread and butter back.
He's not dependent on you for his bread.
Just ignore her, my child. She's ignorant.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
66?
Yes, 66.
Bye.
I paid him a krone a day and on Sunday a gulden. And he got all the beer and cigars he wanted from the customers. He'd rather starve than beg my pardon. Well, I'll take him back without it. I wouldn't be here at all if it wasn't for business.
They couldn't catch me. I got ways, I have, Liliom.
Mrs. Muscat is here.
I see she is.
Oh,
Fixer, you're always dragging him out to play cards and drink with you. I'll have you locked up, I will.
I don't want to talk to you. You're too common.
Mrs. Muscat is here.
Well, why doesn't she open her mouth if she has anything to say?
Why do you go around with this man, Fixer? He'll get you mixed up in one of his robberies first thing you know.
What's it to you who I go with? I do what I please. What do you want?
You know very well what I want.
You got Hollinger at the Carousel, haven't you?
Sure I have.
Well, what else do you want? He's as good as I am.
You're quite right, my boy. He's every bit as good as you are.
Julie, ask your aunt if I can have a cup of coffee.
All right.
So Hollinger is good, is he? Carousel's crowded just the same without me?
Crowded, yes. But it's not the same.
Then you admit that you do miss me.
Miss you? Not I. But the silly girls miss you. Are always asking for you. Well, are you going to be sensible and come back?
And leave her?
You beat her, don't you?
No, I don't beat her. What's all this fool talk about beating her? I hit her once, that was all. Now the whole city seems to be talking about it.
All right. I take it back.
Beating her, as if I'd beat her.
I can't make out why you're so concerned about her. You've been married to her 2 months, and it's plain to see that you're sick of it. Where have you been all night? You look awful.
It's no business of yours.
You never used to look like that. This life is telling on you. You know, I've got a new organ.
I know.
How did you know?
You can hear it from here.
It's a good one, eh?
Very good, fine. It roars and snorts so fine.
Ah, you should hear it close by. It's heavenly. Even the Carousel seems to know it goes quicker. I got rid of those 2 horses. You know, the ones with the broken ears?
What have you put in their places?
Guess.
Zebras?
No. An automobile.
An automobile?
Yes. Oh, if you've got any sense, you'll come back. Out there's your art, the only thing you're fit for. You're an artist, not a respectable married man.
Leave her, this little...
She'll be better off. She'll go back and be a servant girl again.
She's not that kind. She'd never be a servant girl again. So the people don't like Hollinger.
You know very well they don't, you rascal.
Well...
You've always been happy at the Carousel. Pretty girls, beer, cigars, music. I'll tell you what. Come back and I'll give you a ring that used to belong to my dear departed husband. Will you come?
And she's not that kind. She'd never be a servant girl again. But that needn't make any difference. I can go on living with her even if I do go back to my art.
My God.
What's the matter?
I suppose you think all the girls would be pleased to know that you were running home to your wife every night. God, it's ridiculous.
I know what you want.
You flatter yourself.
You give me that ring, too?
Yes.
I'm not happy in this house.
Nobody takes care of.
Here's your cup of coffee. Liliom, before I forget, I have something to tell you.
All right.
But I have to tell you alone. It'll only take a minute.
Don't you see I'm busy now?
It'll only take a minute.
Get out of here,
But I tell you it'll only take a minute.
Will you get out of here?
No.
What's that?
No.
Oh, now don't start fighting. I'll go out and look at the photographs in the showcase a while and come back later for your answer.
You can hit me again if you like. But I'm not afraid of you. I'm not afraid of anyone. I told you I had something to tell you.
Well, out with it, quick.
Well, I can't tell you so quick. Why don't you drink your coffee?
Is that what you wanted to tell me?
No, by the time you've drunk your coffee, I'll have told you.
Well?
Oh, yesterday my head ached, and you asked me...
Yeah?
Well, you see? That's what it is.
Are you sick?
It's something entirely different. It's awful hard to tell. But you'll have to know sooner or later. I'm not a bit scared, because it's a perfectly natural thing.
What?
When a man and a woman...
Yeah?
I'm going to have a baby.
Has she gone?
Yeah.
Well, I might as well give you 10 kronen in advance. Here you are. Why don't you take it?
Go home, Mrs. Muscat.
What's the matter with you?
Go home and let me finish my coffee in peace. Don't you see I'm at breakfast?
Have you gone crazy?
Will you get out of here?
I'll never speak to you again as long as you live.
Oh, that worries me a lot.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Hey, Fixer.
Huh?
Say, Fixer, Julie's going to have a baby. You said you knew a way to get a whole lot of money.
Sure I do.
How much?
More than you ever had in your life before. You leave it to an old hand like me.
And at noon is soup, and in the evening is coffee again, and plenty of firewood, and I'm expected to furnish it all. Give me back my cup and saucer.
No, Aunt
And
Hollander.
you vagabond, get out of here this minute or I'll call my son.
I'll have nothing to do with the likes of him. He's too common.
And Aunt Hollander,
What now?
when your son was born, when you brought him into the world,
Well,
nothing.
sleep it off, you good-for-nothing lout. Drink and play cards all night long. That's all you know how to do.
Fixer,
Yeah, Julie's going to have a baby. You told me before.
this scheme about the cashier of the leather factory, there's money in it?
Lots of money. But it takes two to pull it off.
Yeah. All right, Fixer, go away and come back later.
Yeah.
Julie's gonna have a baby. I'm gonna be a father. And does he always come that way?
Yes. Not along the railroad embankment, but down below, along the path across the field. Since last year, he's been going alone. Before that, he always used to have somebody with him.
Every Saturday?
Every Saturday.
And the money, where does he keep it?
In a leather bag. The whole week's pay for the workmen at the factory.
Much?
16,000 kronen. Quite a haul, what?
What's his name?
Linsman, he's a Jew.
The cashier?
Yeah. But when he gets a knife between his ribs, or if I smash his skull for him, he won't be a cashier anymore.
Does he have to be killed?
No, he don't have to be killed. He can give up the money without being killed. But most of these cashiers are peculiar. They rather be killed.
And when it's done, do we start right off for America?
No.
What then?
We bury the money for 6 months. That's the usual time. And after the 6th month, we dig it up again.
In 6 months, the baby will be born.
Then we'll take the baby with us. 3 months before the time, Liliom, you'll go to work so as to be able to say you saved up your wages to go to America.
Which of us goes up and talks to him?
Well, one of us talks with him with his mouth, and the other talks with his knife. Depends on which you'd rather do. I'll tell you what. You talk to him with your mouth.
Oh, God, what a dirty life I'm leading.
Over in America, it'll be better.
But at night, in my dreams, if his ghost comes back, what'll I do then?
His ghost won't never come back.
Well, then afterwards,
What do you mean, afterwards?
in the next world, when I come up before the Lord God, what'll I say then?
The likes of you will never come up before him.
Why not?
Our kind comes up before the police magistrate. And the highest we ever get is the criminal court.
Will it be the same in the next world?
Just the same. You'll come up before a police magistrate, same as we did in this world. Oh, it's time we started. We walk slow.
Oh, it's too early.
Now, come on.
Where are you going with him?
Where am I going with him?
Stay home. This evening the carpenter's coming. I've asked him to give you work.
I'm not a carpenter.
Stay home. Marie's bringing some money, and I'll give it all to you.
I'm going for a walk with Fixer. We'll be right back.
Coming or not?
I'm not angry with you anymore for hitting me.
Stand out of the way. Let me out.
What have you got under your coat?
Cards. Let me out.
Marie's intendant knows about a place for a married couple without children to be caretakers.
Get out of the way.
No, Liliom! Don't go.
Can you still hear it snort?
Listen.
If you put your ear on the tracks, you can hear it go all the way to Vienna.
Huh?
The one that just puffed past us, it goes all the way to Vienna.
No further?
Yeah, further, too.
Hey, must be near 6.
I say, good evening. Excuse me, sir. What time is it?
And then he tells you what time it is.
Suppose he don't come.
Ah, nonsense. He's got to come. He pays off the workmen every Saturday. And this is Saturday, ain't it? Oh, what are you looking at?
The tracks go on and on. There's no end to them.
What's that to stare about?
Nothing. Only I always look after the train.
Is he coming?
Not yet. Hey, do you hear the telegraph wires?
I hear them when the wind blows.
Even when the wind doesn't blow, you can hear them humming and humming.
What do they hum?
They hum 99, 99. Just listen.
What for? Shh. Quiet. Here he comes.
Good evening. Excuse me, sir. Can you tell me the time?
Why, it's a...
You're breaking my wrist! You're breaking my wrist!
Yes, and I'll shoot your friend if he makes a move. It's 25 minutes past 6. It's lucky I grabbed the hand with the knife in it instead of the other one. 2 fine birds. I'd advise you to keep nice and quiet. If you make one move, you'll get 2 bullets in you.
Let me go. I didn't do anything.
Oh, no? Then what's this little knife in your hand? What do you call this, eh? Ah, yes, I know. You thought I had an apple in my pocket and you wanted to peel it,
But
huh?
I...
Yes, my son, I know. It's so simple. You only ask me what time it is. Well, it's 25 minutes after 6.
But I really didn't do anything to you.
Look behind you, my boy. Who's coming up there?
Policeman. Oh, fix it.
You hold still! And how many policemen are there?
2
And what are the policemen sitting on?
horses.
And which can run faster, a horse or a man?
A horse.
There, you see? It'd be kind of hard for you to get away. I never saw such an unlucky pair of highway robbers.
Let me go.
Stop it, or I'll shoot.
Run, Lillian, run.
Oh, no, you don't. I got you covered.
No.
Well, my boy, do you still want to know what time it is? From 10 to 12 years in prison.
You won't get me. Julie!
He stabbed himself with a big kitchen knife.
Yes. And he seems to have made a thorough job of it. But he's still breathing.
I'll go and telephone the hospital.
Are you his wife?
Yes.
The doctor at the factory who bandaged him up forbade us to take him to the hospital. Dangerous to move him that far. What he needs now is rest. Just let him be until the police surgeon comes. He's not to be disturbed.
Please, it's best if we all get out of here now. We'll only be in the way. Julie, can I do anything to help? We'll be just outside on the bench if you want us.
Little Julie,
Yes, Liliom.
there's something I want to tell you. Like when you go to a restaurant and you're finished eating and it's time to pay. Then you have to count up everything you owe. Well, I beat you. Not because I was mad at you, no. But only because I can't bear to see anyone crying. And you always cried on my account. But anyhow, I wasn't going back to the Carousel to fool with the girls. No. I spit on them all, understand?
Yes.
And as for Hollinger, he's good enough. The jokes he tells are mine. And the people laugh when he tells them, but I don't care. I didn't give you anything. No home, not even the food you ate. But you don't understand. It's true I'm not much good, but I couldn't be a caretaker. And so I thought maybe it'd be better over there in America. Do you see?
Yes.
I'm not asking forgiveness. I don't do that. I don't. Tell the baby if you like.
Yes.
Tell the baby I wasn't much good. But tell him if you ever talk about me. Tell him I thought perhaps over in America. But that's no affair of yours. I'm not asking forgiveness. Julie, if it's a boy, if it's a girl, perhaps I'll see the Lord God today. Do you think I'll see him?
Yes.
I'm not afraid of the police up there. If the carpenter asks you, yes, be his wife, marry him. And the child, tell him he's his father. He'll believe you, won't he?
Yes.
When I beat you, I was right. You mustn't always be right. Liliom can be right once, too. It's all the same to me who was right. It's so dumb. Nobody's right, but they all think they're right. A lot they know.
Yes.
Julie, come, hold my hand tight.
I'm holding it tight all the time.
Tighter, still tighter, I'm going. Julie.
Goodbye.
Poor Julie. May he rest in peace, poor man. But as for you, please don't be angry with me for saying it. But you're better off this way. You couldn't have lived in a shack in the wintertime. You'd have frozen, like the birds in the fields. Am I right, Julie?
Yes, Marie.
A year from now, you'll have forgotten all about him, won't you?
You're right, Marie.
I'll go and make a little black coffee. You haven't had a thing to eat today. And then you'll come home with us.
Would you mind if I looked at him?
He used to work for you.
Won't you make up with me?
I wasn't angry with you.
But you were. Let's make it up.
I've nothing to make up with you.
But I have with you. Everyone says hard things against the poor dead boy, except us two. You don't say he was bad.
Yes, I do.
I understand my child, but he beat me, too. What does that matter? I've forgotten it.
That's your own affair.
If I can help you in any way.
There's nothing I need.
All right. Please don't think I'm trying to force myself on you. I stayed because we two are the only ones on earth who loved him. That's why I thought we ought to stick together.
No, thank you.
Then you couldn't have loved him as I did.
No.
I loved him better.
Yes.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Sleep, Liliom. Sleep. It's no business of hers. I never even told you. But now I'll tell you. Now I'll tell you, you bad, quick-tempered, rough, unhappy, wicked, dear boy. Sleep peacefully, Liliom. They can't understand how I feel. I can't even explain it to you. Not even to you, how I feel. You'd only laugh at me. But you can't hear me anymore. It was wicked of you to beat me on the breast and on the head and face. But you're gone now. You treated me badly. That was wicked of you. But sleep peacefully, Liliom. You bad, bad boy, you. I love you. I never told you before. I was ashamed. But now I've told you. I love you. Liliom. Sleep, my boy. Sleep.
Miss Julie,
Who is that?
the carpenter.
What does the carpenter want?
Can I be of help to you in any way? Shall I stay here with you?
Don't stay, carpenter.
Shall I come back tomorrow?
Not tomorrow either.
Don't be offended, Miss Julie, but I'd like to know. You see, I'm not a young man anymore. I have 2 children. And if I'm to come back anymore, I'd like to know if there's any use.
No use, carpenter.
God be with you.
The coffee is ready now, Julie. You must come in now.
Yes, Marie. I'm coming.
Rise, Liliom, and come with us.
You're under arrest.
Do you hear? Rise.
We are the police.
Get up and come with us.
Come along.
These people suppose that when they die, all their difficulties are solved for them.
That simply by thrusting a knife in your heart and making it stop beating, you can leave your wife behind with a child in her womb.
It is not as simple as that. Come along. You will have to give an account of yourself. We are God's police. Come.
You mortals don't get off quite as easy as that.
The end is not as abrupt as that. Your name is still spoken, your face still remembered, and what you said, and what you did, and what you failed to do, these are still remembered, the matter unended. Before the end there is much to be undone. Until you are quite forgotten, my son, you will not be finished with the earth, even though you are dead.
Come.
Is this it?
Yes, my son.
This is the police court and the beyond?
Yes, my son. The part for suicide cases.
And what happens here?
Here, justice is done. Sit down.
Suicide, too?
Yeah.
So is he. My name is Reich.
My name is Stefan Kadar. And you? What's your name?
None of your business.
I did it by jumping out of a window.
I did it with a pistol. And you?
With a knife.
Pistol is cleaner.
If I had the price of a pistol, I'd have...
Silence. Rise, please.
Yesterday's cases, Your Honor. The numbers are entered in the docket.
Number 16,472.
Stand up, please.
Your name?
Dr. Reich,
Age?
42, married, Jew.
Religion does not interest us here. Why did you kill yourself?
On account of debts.
What good did you do on earth?
I was a lawyer.
Yes, we'll discuss that later. For the present, I shall only ask you, would you like to go back to Earth once more before sunrise? I advise you that you have the right to go if you choose. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
He who takes his life is apt in his haste and excitement to forget something. Is there anything important down there you have left undone?
My debts,
They do not matter here. Here we are concerned only with the affairs of the soul.
Then, if you please, when I left the house, my youngest son was asleep. I didn't trust myself to wake him and bid him goodbye. I would have liked to kiss him goodbye.
You will take back Dr. Reich and let him kiss his son.
Come with me, please.
I thank you.
Number 16,473.
Stand up.
You said please to him.
Your name?
Liliom.
Isn't that your nickname?
Yeah.
What is your right name?
Andreas.
And your last name?
Savaki, after my mother.
Your age?
24.
What good did you do on Earth? Why did you take your life? Officer, take that knife away from him. It will be returned to you if you go back to Earth.
Do I go back to Earth again?
Just answer my question.
I wasn't answering then. I was asking
You don't ask questions here. You only answer. Andreas Savaki, I ask you whether there is anything on Earth you neglected to accomplish. Anything down there you would like to do.
Yeah.
What is it?
I'd like to break Fix's head for him.
Punishment is our office. Is there nothing else on Earth you'd like to do?
I don't know. I guess as long as I'm here, I'll not go back.
Note that. He waives his right. You are aware that you left your wife without food or shelter?
Yeah.
Don't you regret it?
No.
You are aware that your wife is pregnant and that in 6 months a child will be born?
I know.
And that the child, too, will be without food or shelter? Do you regret that?
As long as I won't be there, what's it got to do with me?
Don't try to deceive us, Andrea Savaki. We see through you as through a pane of glass.
Well, if you see so much, what do you want to ask me for? Why don't you let me rest in peace?
First, you must earn your rest.
I want only to sleep.
Your obstinacy won't help you. Here, patience is endless as time. We can wait.
Can I ask something? I'd like to know if Your Honor will tell me whether the baby will be a boy or a girl.
You shall see that for yourself.
I'll see the baby?
When you do, it won't be a baby anymore. But we haven't reached that question yet.
I'll see it?
Again, I ask you, do you not regret that you deserted your wife and child? That you were a bad husband, a bad father?
I couldn't get work, and I couldn't bear to see Julie all the time.
Weeping. Why are you ashamed to say it? You couldn't bear to see her weeping. And why are you ashamed that you loved her?
Who's ashamed? But I couldn't bear to... And that's why I was bad to her. You see, it wouldn't do to go back to the Carousel, and Fixer came along with us talk about that other thing, and all of a sudden it happened. I don't know how. The police and the man with a pistol, and there I stood, and I didn't want to be put in prison. Maybe I was wrong not to go out and steal when there was nothing to eat in the house. Should I have gone out to steal for Julie?
Yes.
The police down there never said that.
You beat that poor frail girl. You beat her because she loved you. How could you do that?
Well, we argued with each other, and because she was right, I couldn't answer her. I got mad and the anger rose up in me. And then I beat her.
Are you sorry?
When I touched her slender throat, then if you like, you might say,
are you sorry?
I'm not sorry for anything.
Liliom, it will be difficult to help you.
I'm not asking any help.
You were offered employment as a caretaker. Why didn't you accept it?
Well, I'm not a caretaker. I'm no good at caretaking. To be a caretaker, well, you have to be a caretaker.
If I said to you now, Liliom, go back on your stretcher. Tomorrow morning you will arise, alive and well again. Would you be a caretaker then?
No.
Why not?
Because that's just why I died.
That is not true, my son. You died because you loved little Julie and the child she is bearing under her heart.
No.
Look me in the eye.
No.
Liliom, if it were not for our heavenly patience, go back to your seat. Number 16,474.
Stefan Kadar.
You came out today.
Today.
How long were you in there?
13 years.
Officer, you went to Earth with him?
Yes, sir.
Stefan Kadar, after 13 years of purification by fire, you returned to Earth to give proof that your soul had been burned clean. What good deed did you perform?
When I came to the village and looked in the window of our cottage, I saw my poor little orphan sleeping peacefully. But it was raining, and the rain beat into the room through a hole in the roof. So I went up and fixed the roof so it wouldn't rain in anymore. My hammering woke them up, and they were afraid. But their mother came in and comforted them. She said to them, "Don't cry. It's your poor dear father hammering up there. He's come back from the other world to fix the roof for us."
Officer.
That's what happened.
Stefan Kadar, you have done a good deed. What you did will be written in books to gladden the hearts of children who read them. The door is open to you. The eternal light awaits you. Liliom, you have heard?
Yeah.
When this man first appeared before us, he was as stubborn as you. But now he has purified himself and withstood the test. He has done a good deed.
What's he done anyhow? Any roofer can fix a roof. It's much harder to be a barker in an amusement park.
Liliom, you shall remain for 16 years in the crimson fire until your child is full grown. By that time, your pride and your stubbornness will have been burnt out of you. And when your daughter...
My daughter?
When your daughter has reached the age of 16, you will be sent for 1 day back to Earth.
Me?
Yes. You will go back to Earth 1 day to show how far the purification of your soul has progressed.
Then I must show what I can do, like when you apply for a job as a coachman.
Yes. It is a test.
And will I be told what I have to do?
No.
How will I know then?
You must decide that for yourself. That's what you burn 16 years for. If you do something good, something splendid for your child, then...
Then? Oh.
Now I'll bid you farewell, Liliom. 16 years and a day shall pass now before I see you. When you have returned from Earth, you will come up before me again. Take heed and think well of some good deed to do for your child. On that will depend which door shall be open to you up here. Now go, Liliom.
Come along, my son.
Say, officer.
What do you want?
Please, can I get, have you got...
What?
A cigarette?
Here. Now, my son, the crimson fire.
Is it true we're not going to work at the jute factory anymore?
Yes, dear.
Where then?
Uncle Wolf has gotten us a place in a big establishment where they make all kinds of fittings for cafes.
It'll be nicer there than at the jute factory.
Yes, dear. The work isn't as dirty and it pays better, too. A poor widow like your mother is lucky to get it.
Good day.
Good day.
Another beggar. What is it you want, my poor man?
Nothing.
We have no money to give, but if you care for a plate of soup, sit down on the porch step and rest. My daughter will give you the soup.
Is that your daughter?
Yes.
You are the daughter?
Yes, sir.
A fine, healthy girl. You work at the factory, eh?
Yes.
Your daughter, too?
Yes.
And your husband?
I have no husband. I'm a widow.
A widow?
Yes.
Your husband, I suppose he's been dead a long time.
A long time.
What did he die of?
No one knows. He went to America to work, and he died there in the hospital. Poor father. I never knew him.
He went to America?
Yes, before I was born.
To America?
Why do you ask so many questions? Did you know him, perhaps?
Maybe I knew him.
Well, if you knew him, leave him and us in peace with your questions. He went to America and died there. That's all there is to tell.
All right. Don't be angry with me. I didn't mean any harm.
My father was a very handsome man.
Don't talk so much, Louise.
Did I say anything?
Surely the little orphan can say that about her father.
My father could juggle so beautifully with 3 ivory balls that people used to advise him to go on the stage.
Who told you that?
Uncle Wolf. Mr. Wolf Byfeld, who owns the Cafe Sorrento.
The one who used to be a porter?
Do you know him, too? It seems you know all Budapest.
Wolf Byfeld is a long way from being all Budapest, but I do know a lot of people. Why shouldn't I know Wolf Byfeld?
He was a friend of my father.
He was not his friend. No one was.
You speak of your husband so sternly.
What's that to you? Doesn't it suit you? I can speak of my husband any way I like. It's nobody's business but mine.
Certainly. It's your own business.
Perhaps he knew father, too.
Ask him if you like.
Did you know my father?
Yes.
You knew Andreas Zabocki?
Liliom? Yeah.
Was he really a very handsome man?
I wouldn't exactly say handsome.
But he was an awfully good man, wasn't he?
He wasn't so good, either. As far as I know, he was what they called a clown, a barker in a carousel.
Did he tell funny jokes?
Oh, lots of them. And he sang funny songs, too.
In the carousel?
Yeah. But he was something of a bully, too. He'd fight anyone. He even hit your dear little mother.
That's a lie.
It's true.
Aren't you ashamed to tell the child such awful things about her father? Get out of here, you shameless liar. Eats our soup and our bread and has the impudence to slander our dead.
I didn't mean
What right have you to tell lies to the child? Take that plate, Louise, and let him be on his way. If he wasn't such a hungry-looking beggar, I'd put him out myself.
So he didn't hit you?
No, never. He was always good to me.
Did he tell funny stories, too?
Yes, and such funny ones.
Don't speak to him anymore, Louise. In God's name, go.
In God's name.
If you please, miss, let me show you something pretty, something wonderful. Miss, I've something to give you.
What's that?
A star.
Don't take anything from him. He's probably stolen it somewhere. In God's name, be off with you.
Yes, be off with you.
Miss, please, miss, I've got to do something good, or I'll do something good, a good deed.
That's the way out.
Miss.
Get out.
Miss!
Mother.
What's the matter here?
Mother, the man, he hit me. On the hand, hard. I heard the sound of it, but it didn't hurt. Mother, it didn't hurt. It was like a caress, as if he had just touched my hand tenderly.
Go, my child. Go into the house. Go.
But, Mother, I'm afraid. It sounded so loud, and it didn't hurt at all, just as if he kissed my hand instead. Mother.
Go in, my child.
Yes, Mother.
Go in. You struck my child.
Yes, I struck her.
Is that what you came for? To strike my child?
No, I didn't come for that, but I did strike her, and now I'm going back.
In the name of the Lord Jesus, who are you?
A poor, tired beggar who came a long way and who was hungry. And I took your soup and bread, and I struck your child. Are you angry with me?
Jesus, protect me. I don't understand it. I'm not angry. I'm not angry at all.
Goodbye.
Louise,
Yes, Mother.
sit down, dear. We'll finish eating.
Has he gone?
Yes. Why don't you eat, dear?
What has happened, Mother?
Nothing, my child.
Oh, Mother dear, why won't you tell me?
What is there to tell you, child? Nothing has happened. We were peacefully eating, and a beggar who talked of bygone days came. And then I thought of your father.
My father?
Your father, Liliom.
Mother, tell me, has it ever happened to you? Has anyone ever hit you without hurting you in the least?
Yes, my child. It has happened to me, too.
Is it possible for someone to hit you hard like that, real loud and hard, and not hurt you at all?
It is possible, dear, that someone may beat you and beat you and beat you and not hurt you at all.
You have been listening to Ferenc Molnár's play, Liliom. The play was adapted for radio by Joseph Bell. The cast featured Mr. Arthur Kennedy as Liliom and Miss Hester Sondergaard as Julie. You also heard Templeton Fox as Mrs. Muscat, Ruth Gilbert as Marie, Milton C. Herman as Fixer, Linda Watkins as Louise, Arthur Hughes as the carpenter, Ralph Locke as Lintzman, James Bell as the poor man, and John McGovern as the rich man, Ann Elsner as Mother Hollander, Charles Webster as the magistrate, and others in the cast were William Lytell, Walter Graves, John Donahue, Eric Dressler, Anne Boley, Lotta Stavisky, Blanche Gladstone, and Jane Hamilton. The orchestra was directed by Joseph Honte, and the Carousel music was composed by Tom Bennett. The Great Plays series is a public service of the National Broadcasting Company. A drama guide giving complete background material for the Great Plays by Blevins Davis, who arranged for the series, is available to our radio audience at the cost of 25 cents. Send coin or money orders to Columbia University Press in care of Great Plays, Columbia University Press, New York City. Consult your local library for reading material on the remaining Great Plays of the series. Next week at this same hour, The Return of Peter Grimm will be presented. This is the National Broadcasting Company, RCA Building, Radio City, New York.